Country music fans out there, thanks so much for tuning into this episode of Coda Country Chats. And I would love to introduce to you our next artist on the show, Dasha. How are you today, Dasha?
Hey Leigh, how are you? I'm good.
I'm doing so well. And Dasha has a new single coming out on December 15th entitled King of California. So, being a California girl yourself, tell me a little bit about how the writing for this song went. Tell me what about the song. Tell me what it means to you. I would love to know more about it.
Yeah, so this song is like one of my favorite ones to talk about on the writing side, so I'm really glad you asked. So a few months back, I had just written Austin, which was my last single that came out. Super boot clappy, and I was obsessed with that song, right? And the last line of Austin in the chorus is, "In 40 years, you'll still be here, drunk, washed up in Austin," right?
Love it.
I
Yes,
did not
yes.
get the idea. I love incorporating storylines from song to song. And I was like, God, this is the perfect opportunity to like extend these characters into another song 40 years later,
Yeah.
because 40 years is,
Ooh.
you know? So I
Yeah.
was thinking about it, and I go into my session with Lewis Castle, who's a part of The Gifted. He's like one of my favorite people to write with. And I
Amazing.
was like, listen, crazy idea. I want to write from the perspective of me in 40 years, like what it's like. And I'm still in love with this guy, and I can't get him out of my head. And, whatever. So we ended up
Yeah.
writing the song, and I was like, oh, this is so cool. So we finished up the song, and then I was like, well, we need some type of tie back to Austin. Like, how is this going to work? And so the
Yeah.
last verse in King of California, and I just teased it on my Instagram, was the lyrics are, I think I might have lost it, but I just touched down in Austin on a one way. And I bet that you're out drinking at the bar
Oh.
you used to live in. Let's see if this thing's burning first rounds on me. So it's like I flew back and I'm like, whatever, I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna go find him. Like I
Ah.
care about him. So yeah.
That's amazing.
Thank
No, I
you.
love that this ties in together and it's almost like a little cohesive project or like a part two. That's
Totally.
oh wow. That is so cool. So okay, you just
And
talked
all the
about
songs
the
in the
other
album are kind
yeah.
of like that. They're just kind of all
Mhm.
connected because they're all just so much about my life. Obviously, I take some creative liberties. So I'm not 40 years later from when I wrote that song, but I don't
Yeah,
know.
so well, and so you were just saying that the new album um, with King of California and Austin, all of these are coming to an album that's coming out in February. So, about how long would you say you've been working on that album as a whole?
I started writing it. I knew I was writing it back in March, so not too long actually.
No,
Um,
that's incredible. I'd love
yeah,
to know, like, because I know several artists who like work on albums for years, or like they release other projects throughout, but they like continually like grow and build and do. So it's amazing to know that, like, in this short amount of time, you've created such great music that you're already ready to put it out with not
thanks.
even a year's time. Like,
Yeah,
wow, that's incredible.
yeah. I mean, how I think about it is like I write so much about my life. Like all the songs are so real to me that as you're in your young 20s, a lot changes very, very fast, right? And so like
Oh
a lot
yeah.
of eras of your life are like switching over real fast. And so this whole country era was me deciding to move to Nashville again from LA,
Yeah.
moving there, and then that's like the beginning part of being in Nashville. So it's kind of like the LA to Nashville slash like pop to country. It's like the whole
Mhm.
transition. This whole album is my transition period. And
I
it's like
love
all about
that.
that. And you can kind of hear that in the lyrics.
I was going to ask too, how much of this album was written in Nashville? How much of it was written out in California, LA?
It was
Yeah.
all written in LA.
Really? Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
I was basically finished before I got here. I
Hmm.
think there's gonna be one song that sneaks in at the end. Actually, that's not true. 42, which is a song on the album, I half
Hmm.
finished it in Nashville. I
Oh
think
wow,
that's the only song that I like did here, which is kind of crazy. And I also
that is
wrote another
crazy.
song, "Drown Me," in Nashville as well, but that's before I lived here.
Right. So, okay, so now that you've made the move, now that you've made the transition over to Nashville, talk to me about how the writing scene, the artist scene is different from your experience in LA.
Um, Here I feel like so I went to Belmont just as
Yeah.
prep. So like I have spent some time in Nashville before I dropped out and moved to LA. But I hear it's cool being like, in sessions every day because I'm with writers who are doing that obviously with publishing companies and just like that's their whole livelihood. And it's cool because like most of them have families and like kids they need to go get. And so like
Mhm.
11 to 5. Like it's
Yeah.
at 5, sometimes at 4. 4 like I gotta go pick up my kid, I gotta go see my wife, whatever. And
Yeah.
really cool because it's so like it's like a job here. And
Mhm.
I think there's a beauty to that, and there's also a beauty to how LA does it, which is like pull up whenever. Yo, let's smoke a joint before we write. Yo, kind of like so chill, and like you could be at the studio for 12 hours in LA. Obviously
Wow.
there's some opportunities like that in Nashville, but here it's like, oh, I'm a songwriter, that's my profession.
Yeah.
We're in LA,
Yeah.
it's like a lifestyle, I feel like more like. And
Mhm.
I can appreciate the beauty in both. And I love going back and forth because it's really nice to have both available to you.
Yeah,
Whatever you're feeling.
definitely.
Yeah.
No, yeah. So, okay, now that you're crossing over from pop country and doing a little bit of that like mix and match fusion, you do have like a little line dance that's debuting with your Austin single. Tell me all about that dance, girl.
The dance is good. I help choreograph it, and it's I don't know. I just thought like every time I heard Austin, I like it makes you just want to dance. Like that's what everyone's been saying. Like I just want to dance to this song. It's so like get your boots up. And
Yeah.
I was like, my manager Alex and I were talking, and we're like, why don't we just make like a line dance? Like why don't we like as a marketing technique? Why
Yeah.
don't we just like make a line dance and push it on socials and just like have our
Yeah.
friends do it and like go to honky talks and be like, hey, can you play my song? I have a dance to it. I think people could learn it. And so like that's literally on my weekend plan is to go to a honky tonk this weekend and like try to infiltrate the fucking sound system. Be like, hey,
I love that.
I just like I grew up dancing. I danced for 13 years. Like
Oh,
I
wow.
still do actually. I just do hip hop and random stuff like that. But
Cool.
I just it's so much a part of me, and I think dancing is like the best way to experience music, and I think it's just the perfect
Yeah.
time for that. So that's what we're doing. So if you see the
That's
line dance,
incredible.
guys, please learn it and post a video of it. Let's do it.
Definitely, yes. Well, as someone who's very much a dancer too, like I can't sit
No way.
still most days. Yeah, so I'm gonna be checking it out definitely. Yeah,
Yes.
that sounds like so much fun. So okay, let's go through a little bit of your timeline because we talked a little bit about Belmont. We talked a little bit about your time in California. You talked about how you were just a dancer for 13 years. Tell me a little bit more about like your background and you growing up and all of that kind of thing that finally brings you to this point in your life.
So a lot of that lends to there's a local songwriter in my hometown, San Luis Obispo, called
Mm.
Deb Henderson, excuse me,
Deb
and
Henderson.
she was the mom of a classmate of mine, Ezra, and she and Ezra were the first people to like encourage me to go and play shows and gigs when I was 10 years
Aw.
old. So she
Wow.
literally helped me play these little coffee shop gigs and like writers rounds and like local things when I was 10 years old, and she like took
Wow.
me under her wing and goes, I see your talent, girl. Like, we're doing this thing. And so, like, that was very encouraging. And also, my older brother, Bardo, he's a musician, he's a producer, and he's in the band Beauty School Dropout. And
Wow.
he's 3 years older. And so, he was in rock bands before me. And as I was growing up, I was like, whoa, he loves music so much. He's like writing, he's doing all this stuff. And I was like, I want to do that. Like, I love doing that stuff. And so growing up, we both had like the same passion, and it was really cool
Mhm.
getting to learn off each other. So when he was learning to produce, he was like, well, will you top line this thing? So I'd be singing these like pop hooks, and he would help me produce my songs out that I wrote on guitar. And it was like this beautiful, like, symbiotic relationship of just like, let's learn. Like, I don't know what we're doing. Like,
Yeah.
my parents were also so supportive. They still are. Could not have done it without them. And so yeah, they're the ones that were like, go to Belmont, go be a songwriting major, like go do your thing, girl. And that's when TikTok came around and the internet started supporting artists a little bit more. And things
Yes.
a little bit
Yes.
off. So here we are. That's the short answer.
So, well, and okay, so we talked a little bit about social media right there. We talked about doing the Austin line dance. How do you feel like social media has helped your songwriting, your platform, you as an artist kind of excel, kind of step up to the next level?
I mean, kind of owe it all to social media, if I'm being honest. Like, I feel like a lot of
Yeah.
artists do. Like, it's the only way that you could reach an audience so wide for free. Like,
Yeah.
usually you have to pay so much money through your label to get your song seen by those many people. And now
Mhm.
it's just like, I could go post a video right now and it could go get 30 million views if I got lucky. You know? It's just
Yeah.
kind of a game
Yeah.
of chance now. And
Mhm.
um, also, I love how, like, TikTok and Instagram, like, you can really show whatever you want to show. Like, I can show my personality. I could crack jokes. I could post videos of my cat. You know, like, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And it's
Mhm.
exactly how you want it to be. And I think people don't really take advantage of that as much as they should be. Like, you can really curate exactly how you are seen. And it's the
Yeah.
most beautiful tool that we've ever been given as artists. Don't get me wrong, it's exhausting, and I want to scream half the time. But
Yes.
I am very grateful for, like, having this platform because, like, a lot of artists before us, like, just didn't, you know?
It's so true. And you made a really good point there that like it's kind of nice that you don't have to be so formal all the time on social media. Like you can kind of let your guard down, let your hair down, let people see the real you. And I think that also kind of lends itself to having more loyal fans and more loyal listeners who just really want to know like who you are as a person. And I think that's again, like what you said, such a beautiful thing that,
It's
you know,
real. Yeah.
yeah, because it's real and it's just an awesome way to get to know the artist as well as like getting to know the fans. Because I know that fans probably love when you comment back on their stuff or anything like that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
incredible.
I know, it's the
So,
best.
yeah. So, okay, talk to me. Tell me a little bit about like live shows that you may have coming up or any other kind of like performance opportunity that you have in the near future.
Yeah, I think I'm allowed to talk about this,
Ooh,
but
okay. I love secrets.
so we can always cut it out. You can always talk to my publicist. But
Okay.
in January, I just heard that I'm playing Whiskey Jam, which I'm super excited about. I don't know. I
Yay.
think end of January, early Feb is what they said, but just right around that
Awesome.
album release, which is cool.
Yes,
Um,
perfect.
and
Yes.
I'm also going to be opening up for someone in LA post Stagecoach.
Oh my gosh.
A little post Stagecoach moment. So that should be
Mhm.
fun. But those are the two I have on the books. I'm definitely trying to like get more into the touring scene. Like opening
Mhm.
tour for someone sick would be amazing. So
Amazing.
if
Yeah.
your ears peeled,
Tell
let me know.
yes, if anybody's listening out there that just wants to book Dasha, hit her up, y'all.
Let
Tell
me
me, okay, do you have like a favorite show that you've ever played or like a favorite venue that you love to play all the time?
know. Ooh, that's a good question. Okay, this is so random, but when I was
Mhm.
11, I opened up for Lissy at the Ojai Bowl.
Aw.
Old and I was just like in this little yellow sundress. And that outside bowl is so beautiful, and it was the coolest venue ever. Obviously, the biggest venue I'd ever played. I was 11, and I
Wow.
remember I got off stage, and there was a line of people waiting to sign my CDs, like
Ah.
CDs back then, of course. And it was like the best day of my entire life. So that still takes the cake. Like that was the best show I've ever played. It was so fun. Musically, I don't know if it was the best show, but feeling wise, I had a great time.
But but still, like exactly like what you said, like you just had that amazing feeling of being a star, being on stage, playing such an awesome arena almost, you know? Oh my gosh, that's so cool to hear.
Yeah.
How do you, okay, so since you've been performing like pretty much your entire life, tell me, how do you think things have progressed as you've gotten older, as you've gained experience? How do you think, or let me rephrase the question. What do you think has been kind of the biggest contributor to your performance now as an artist versus, you know, when you were younger, singing other music, that kind of thing?
Um, I mean, honestly, time has just like done its number in a good way.
Yeah.
I just feel
Yeah.
like, um, just any so. Hmm. I always say like I'm such a songwriter first, and
Yes.
I'm always writing about my life. And so when I was young, obviously I would pick from movies and books and like relationships I saw around me and things because like you know I had feelings for about things and friends and boys and whatnot, but like you know I was 11, like I didn't know what I was
Yeah.
saying, and so now just like having lived so much life, I feel like as weird as it sounds, like songwriting has come so much more effortlessly now that you have
Yeah.
experience. So I really think that as a songwriter, your job is to go like make some chaos in your life. Like go live. Like literally go live so you have some stuff to write about. Like I'm not
Yeah.
even kidding. Like I make sure that like my week is packed with like, let's go out. Let's go do some stuff. Let's go do some weird stuff. Like I don't know. Maybe I'll meet someone. Maybe I'll, you know, it's so
Yeah.
important as a creative to trigger that creative side of your brain, and also like to do things that are creative but not in your lane. Like I'm a songwriter artist, but I like love drawing and like
Yeah.
cooking. Cooking's creative,
Oh,
and
yeah.
stretching your brain like that is so important. And I feel like
Mhm.
I've just like educated myself a lot on like being a creative and like how to sustain this insane job that we chose. And
Yeah.
it's been like fun because it's just like I'm my own CEO, like I make my own hours, like,
Yeah.
and that's wild to say at 23, but it's the truth, and it's just like a wild little life. So
Yeah. It's like living your own hustle, like
exactly.
it's a lot of fun, it's a lot of work, but like you're still putting yourself out there and doing it all and
Hmm.
yeah, living the dream, girl, living the
Everything
dream.
changes with one song. All it takes is one song. It's just really fun
That's
to
right.
think about. Literally
So
just one
let's talk about this too. Um, I really don't think I've asked you about this yet. I'm trying to go back through my head and be like, what have we talked about? Because I feel like we've jammed so much in this like short little time. So talk to me about the influences that you had growing up as far as the artists that you would listen to, the artists that you wanted to like emulate. Tell me more about those artists that you really love.
My first love for songwriting was Casey Musgraves.
Yes.
I heard pageant material in Same Trailer, Different Park. I
Mm-hmm.
think it came out in 2013 and 2011 or something, a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember hearing those albums, and I was like, that's a song. Like, that's a song. And I just loved everything about it. And then also, of course, Taylor Swift, like every girl ever. But
Yes, girl.
I just loved the way she looked at life and the way she described things, and it was really inspiring, and it made me like at a young age recognize that and then look at things like in a different way. And so I feel like I was like conditioned to be a songwriter from just being obsessed with these girls. And then I heard about like Dolly Parton, and I read about her, like I just like love what Dolly represents also in the world and
Yes.
music industry of just like overly feminine but so proud
Mm-hmm.
of it. Like that is the hottest thing a girl can be. It's just like so unapologetically herself. Like she's the biggest, baddest version of herself, and she has,
Yes.
sorry, no fucks to give. She's just like, okay,
That's so true.
cool. And I'm like, oh, I love that. I love that so much. And I feel like I've taken like parts of all of them and like kind of made that my own. As far as like recent influences, I love like R&B music, and I take a lot of
Yeah.
my melodies from R&B songs and like hip hop songs, and inspired by those like SZA,
Mm-hmm.
love, love,
Yes.
love.
Mm-hmm.
Also like I love Role Model, and I love like Jeremy Zucker. Like those are a good pop hook right there. Like
Yeah.
I feel like the new music is kind of taking the best parts about pop music, like the hooks and like the really catchy parts, but putting it to like some mountain ass folk stuff, like that's just like,
Yeah.
and I love it. It's been fun.
No, I'd love to hear that though, just because like as you've mentioned all of these different artists, I hear all of their influences in your vocals. Like or even in the songwriting, like wow, that's so true. Going back to Casey Musgraves, I feel like I've burned out that Golden Hour album so much. Like
I listened to it so many times.
but it's one of those albums that like I would not stop listening to. And it's really one of the first ones that I remember listening from like beginning to end. And I think that's what like makes it a full album like the best it can be is if you
No
can just like
skips.
turn it
Yeah,
on and not turn it off. Yeah. And yeah, I think your album coming in February may be one of those that I can do that with too. So I
cool.
can't
That's
wait
the
to
goal.
hear
I'm excited to show you. Yeah.
it. Yeah. Okay. Before we hop off today, first of all, we've had an incredible chat. Thank you so much for coming on the
Thank
show.
you
This
for
was
having me.
great.
Thanks.
Absolutely. Tell me, okay, is there anything else that you would like to promote or anybody that you'd like to give a shout out to or anything like that?
Shout out to my team. I love them. Alex, Ben, Josh, Christina, and Avery. Love you guys so much. Um,
Love.
And just like, yeah, the album comes out soon. Stream Austin, stream Even Cowboys Cry. You'll be surprised by the
And
album. I'll tell you that much. It's not
yeah,
the best singles. The best songs were not the singles. Well, I mean, they were, but you know what I mean. Like, there's some bangers on the album, and I'm really, really, really excited about it.
you're holding them back. You're
They're
like
holding back.
waiting. You're
There's no
waiting.
skips
That's
on this
right.
album, in my opinion. There's just, why would I put a skippable song on the album? You can't.
Literally.
Do it.
Yes,
You can't.
exactly. Can't wait to hear him, Mom. Well, audience out there, thanks so much for tuning in and hearing more about Dasha. Make sure you check out her album that's coming out in February. Her new song, King of California, drops on December 15th, and we can't wait to listen in. Everybody, y'all have a good day. Thanks again.
Bye, guys. Thank you.